At least the noise is mainly quieted down. It was a bit of a loud, buzzing, high-pitched noise. I'm going to hold my microphone closer to the laptop and you guys can hear it. So, my laptop might burst into fire at some point. Greetings, one and all, to the most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone, in both the analog and digital world. Welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. And, yeah. At least not doing the loud, lower buzzing noise I was doing earlier, but hey. I'm pretty sure my laptop is dying. So, yeah. I will try to possibly get my laptop to stop doing this at some point. If not, well, hope it's not that loud for all of you. The strange letter that the witch had entrusted to Maria wiped all memories of dinner from our minds. Maria was repeatedly barraged with questions by Aunt Rosa and the other parents, and became increasingly ill-tempered when they refused to believe her. If we kids tried to butt in, they'd probably ignore us. Our parents were all stirred up, firing back and forth about the gold and the distribution of the assets, and completely forgetting that we were even there. I'd already guessed they'd been talking like this in the shadows, but I hadn't thought they'd be so blunt. It gave all of us kids a considerable shock. From what we could overhear, all the parents wanted more money as soon as possible. Back and forth about grandfather's inheritance, back and forth about the distribution of the gold if it was found, about advanced payments and cash. It was so despicable I could hardly bear to watch, even though one of them was my father. It looked like Jessica felt the same way. We left our seats without being asked to, and went to hang out somewhere well away from our parents. I get it. Now I totally see why grandfather hates coming down for meals. I'm so disillusioned with our parents right now. All that about money and the inheritance. How can they act like that right out in the open? Well, I'm already completely disillusioned with my old bastard. Like I said, I hope this noise stops, and not at the cost of my laptop turning into a brick. So, yeah. There's no way I could think any worse of him. Hee. That's exactly the same for me. Still, that freaking shocked me to the core. Jessica looked down at the floor, irritated. She was always talking about how bad her parents were, but maybe she hadn't really felt that way deep inside. The depths of Jessica's shock made that clear. You're all minors being supported by your parents, so you might not understand. But getting money is neither a simple nor a pretty thing. I won't try to force you to understand right now, since you're still kids. But even so, I want you to realize that your parents are just doing their best in their own way. Oh, great! You're just saying one day we'll be just like them. George Niki's gotten all mature. George Nisan, I know you're working hard as a full-fledged member of society, but does that mean you turn into a shameless, greedy vulture like our parents whenever you start talking about money and assets? If it were only for my own benefit, then no, I wouldn't want to do that. However, when your family and your employees, your subordinates, and their families are all counting on you, there are some times when you must fight. I hate that kind of fight. That back and forth about grandfather's inheritance just makes me want to puke. Jessica pretended to spit violently. That harsh reaction made the depths of her pain very clear. Let's stop talking about this. Yeah, Maria probably is having her own little emotional shock. All this about grandfather's hidden gold property inheritance is our parents' problem, not ours. I agree. At the very least, I think children have a duty to be considerate and stay out of their parents' way when they're talking together. Tish. Sounds pretty boring. Everyone knows the phrase adults are filthy, but we had now seen that for ourselves, and that really did give us a considerable shock. George Aniki was now pretty much an adult, and I'd already been disillusioned with my dad, so the shock wasn't that big for us, but Jessica seemed to be taking it hard. Apparently she'd received a bigger blow than I'd thought. She always talks badly about her parents, but it looks like she hadn't changed at all on the inside. Even now, she's still a pure-hearted, delicate person who can't doubt others. I'm sure she respected her parents as much as anyone else does, and then her parents started raging about, going money, money, inheritance, inheritance, my money, right in front of all of the other parents and the children. It's no surprise she received such a shock from hearing that. Jessica-chan, please don't start hating your mother and father. I won't ask you to understand them, but at least don't hate them. I get it, just leave me alone for a bit. 6 years ago I would have kept taunting Jessica even after she got all dejected, but I guess I really have grown over the last 6 years. I realize it'd be better to leave Jessica alone right now. Jessica suddenly looked away sulkily and left the parlor. She probably wanted to be alone for a while. I could do nothing but wordlessly watch her back as she left. Come to think of it, I wonder where Maria-chan went. She's probably pouting in front of the portrait. Maria truly looked up to witches, and she'd expected that coming in direct contact with Beatrice and receiving the letter as proof would surprise everyone and make them happy. However, the adults had doubted its authenticity, thoroughly bombarding Maria with questions and refusing to accept her story. Even for me, it wasn't hard to imagine how much that must have hurt Maria. We couldn't speak to Maria or Jessica. In the end, George Aniki and I just abandoned ourselves to the sound of the falling rain in the dark night. I wonder what's happening with that typhoon. Maybe there's something about it on the news? George Aniki started walking over to the corner of the parlor, where the television was. He hadn't called me over, and I really couldn't have cared less where the typhoon was on the sea now. So without going over to the television, I loitered around the window. The wind hasn't picked up that much here, but I wonder if it's horrible over the sea. By the way, can you guys hear that? I did hear about a severe storm warning on the weather report. Ah, Kyrie-san. I take it those big talks between the adults are going smoothly, yeah? She seemed to catch the sarcasm. Kyrie shrugged. I wonder if that stomachache of a discussion will continue all night. I do have to say, definitely my type. It's not going to be fun. Well then, please enjoy playing vultures to grandfather's property as much as you like. I feel sick. I'll agree with you on that. If I could just slip away like you, I'd do it. Unfortunately, I can't. Even if I'm not allowed to speak, we spouses have it pretty rough too. Kyrie-san took a deep breath, smiling bitterly. That's right. They probably wouldn't let Kyrie-san speak since she's only married into the family. Still, as Dad's partner, she's had no choice but to stay by his side and support him. She's probably had to bear the full brunt of this mental pressure much more than me. I wasn't going to apologize, but realizing that I'd spoken too harshly, I cut the sarcasm for the time being. So how does it look? Are they still stuck on the topic of the mysterious witch Beatrice? Again, do I say Beatrice or Beatrice? More or less. Those four siblings are always piling up secret agreements when they come together to discuss the division of grandfather's inheritance. They're saying that some unknown fifth person has appeared and is trying to make things even more complicated. And there's no way that'll make for a peaceful conversation. Just when you think they're snarling at each other, they'll set up a common front. Natsui-san's not the only one getting headaches. On the one hand, they all want a larger portion of the other siblings, so they're all rivals. But on the other hand, they don't want one yen to be snatched up by anyone other than the siblings, so they're also all allies. I hadn't been told the details of the siblings were apparently discussing how to protect their shares under various situations, setting up a ceasefire agreements and rules to prevent anyone from getting an unfair advantage, even preparing to resort to legal action if absolutely necessary. That they would go this far to preserve their shares was so beyond disgusting that you just had to acknowledge their resilience. So basically, Beatrice is like an assassin sent by grandfather. He probably wanted to scare the hell out of his children for talking about the inheritance without him. Who is this Beatrice, I wonder? If everything she claims is true, then she's a mystery figure that no one knew about until today, and she also knows about grandfather's hidden gold. On top of that, she was even entrusted with the head's ring. She must truly have been trusted by him. Well, obviously I don't think she's a witch riding around on a broom, but there's no doubt she's a mysterious person who's earned the right to be called a witch. If only Maria-chan would go into more detail about that. Everyone's been smothering her, even though she's just a little girl. They really scared her, and some things they might have asked now can't be asked. I wonder if those people have ever even read The North Wind and the Sun. What we do know is that Maria received a letter from a person who took the name of Beatrice. She sure is shy for a mystery person, entrusting Maria with a letter and hiding away even now, when she could have just appeared and talked to us directly. Ha ha ha. Hey, Battler-kun, do you really think a person called Beatrice actually exists? Who knows? Doesn't it really seem like a false name? Like she's grandfather's representative, so she was given permission to take the name of the witch from his delusions? No, that's not what I meant. Right now, there's a total of 18 people here in Rakanjima. Do you think there's a 19th person? Are there really a full 18 people on this island right now? Wondering about that, I began counting on my fingers, and it really did come out to that many. Do I think that a 19th person exists? What exactly do you mean? Just what I said. The person who lent Maria that umbrella supposedly wasn't one of us 18. So isn't it natural to assume that a 19th person exists, and that this person lent Maria the umbrella? Do you guys say the or the? Well, yeah, it sure looks that way. Then, where exactly is this person now? At the very least, she must have been on the island when it started raining, and ever since that time, the weather has grown progressively worse, so taking a boat out would be pretty much impossible. In that case, that person must still be on the island, hiding from the rain somewhere, and without any of us spotting her. True. We've all been randomly prowling around all over the mansion and the guest house, but no one has bumped into a 19th person. But this island is huge. There might be other places to take shelter from the rain other than the mansion and the guest house. At about this time, I began to realize what direction Kyrie-san's suspicions were taking us in. Kyrie-san was denying that a 19th person existed. Beatrice was one of us 18. In other words, she thought someone we knew well was tricking us. Or there is a 19th, and there's someone hiding inside the mansion. If Beatrice is who she claims, she would surely be the most honored of guests, the most honored of confidants trusted by Grandfather. There's no way Grandfather would give that kind of person there's no way Grandfather wouldn't give that kind of person a warm reception. She would surely have been ushered into the mansion. However, we haven't seen anyone like that. Wait a second, isn't this line of reasoning a bit too hasty? Sure, no one spotted this person, but that doesn't mean you can deny the possibility that a 19th person exists, right? Maybe for some reason they landed on the island stealthily and have been hiding ever since. It's what they call a devil's proof. It's easy to prove that something exists. If this Beatrice appears in front of us all and says hi, then it's settled. But it's impossible to prove that there's no 19th person. Yes, Battler-kun, your way of reasoning isn't bad. In our current situation, there isn't enough information to either accept or deny that a 19th person exists. But if you spin the chessboard around and think that way, we can deny the existence of a 19th person with near certainty. Spin the chessboard around was one of Kyrie-san's favorite phrases. I've been influenced by those words and use them myself from time to time. When you get stuck trying to find a move in chess or shogi, then spinning the board around and looking at everything from your opponent's standpoint, you can often see a strategy that'll give you the upper hand. It means turning things around and putting yourself in your opponent's shoes. You see? Let's say that a 19th person called Beatrice actually exists. That person must have managed, without being seen by anyone, to stealthily arrive on this island and remain hidden ever since. Maybe they had some reason, okay? In that case, why did they go to all the trouble of appearing before Maria and handing her the letter? It really was a contradiction. If they had some reason for hiding themselves, then they should have stayed hidden the whole time. But even so, they had appeared openly in front of Maria. Then, wait, Maria said it herself. She said that the witch made her a messenger. Maybe that's because Maria was the youngest and looked the most obedient. Why would they need a messenger? If they just wanted a letter delivered to the family conference, they could have mailed it. If they mailed it to each of the 4 siblings, no one would be able to ignore it. There was no need for this person to carry it themselves and secretly deliver it by hand. Yeah, that does sound pretty weird. In the first place, if Beatrice existed and wanted to make her presence known to everyone, then she could have just openly presented herself to all of us. Despite that, she chose the vague method of appearing through a little girl named Maria-chan, called Maria-chan, and only gave us a vague impression of who she was. Contradiction. Let's go a little deeper, shall we? She appeared in front of Maria, trying to give us the impression that a 19th person existed, and yet, again, I must say, my personality, if I had to pick 2 people from this entire story, I think my personality would be very aptly described as a Dragon Ball Z fusion of Battler and Maria. Now that being said, not only do I find Kyrie to be extraordinarily beautiful, I very much so like her personality. She seems very mature, very intelligent, and she does seem that she is fully capable of being very doting and very loyal. Now, I would imagine she'd be upset with me if I did something that would be considered a betrayal of her, but, well, loyalty, honesty, and perhaps being autistic would be very defining factors of my own personality. So I would suppose I would only say anything disagreeable by what she would feel if, she herself did something that I felt was a betrayal of me. At which point I really wouldn't care what she thinks anymore, because, my feelings. But I feel that if there was 2 people that are loyal to a fault, loyal to each other, then I would imagine those 2 people would never betray each other, ever. I'm just saying in terms of personality, intelligence, and physical appearance, I think Kyrie's perfect. Also, I like the outfit a lot. She still hasn't appeared before us, and is hiding somewhere at this very moment. Think about those contradictions. You've got to keep these things in mind when you spin the chessboard around. In short, if a person wants to leave us with the impression that Beatrice exists as the 19th person, what might their goal be? If this person wanted to hide, then they wouldn't have made their presence known. And if they wanted to show themselves, they wouldn't have used a roundabout approach of entrusting someone with a letter. Unless they just don't feel the time is right, but they are planning to reveal themselves. Which means, it's simple. Beatrice is one of the 18 people. That's why they want to create the illusion that there are more than 18 people. The 19th person was revealed so spectacularly. If someone were to profit from this, it would be the 19th person in hiding. It'd be one of the original 18. It wouldn't be the 19th person. It'd be one of the original 18 people. Of course, this reasoning is full of holes. If you turn over even a few of its premises, it'd simply fall apart. But I'm almost completely certain that it's correct. This is starting to feel pretty creepy. Someone lent Maria the umbrella and handed her the letter. Supposedly none of the 18 did this, and yet Beatrice was hidden among those 18. What was this person planning, hiding their true form and pretending to be Beatrice? I suspected it might have been Maria Chan play acting, but the contents of the message were extremely complicated, and it's hard to imagine Maria Chan writing that herself. So one of two things is happening. One, there actually is a Beatrice out there, or somebody was able to trick Maria into thinking that they were Beatrice. However, I can't deny the possibility that Maria Chan is working together with someone. Well, wait a second. Maria's a 9-year-old kid, right? What could she possibly be planning, and with whom? And what about her straightforward, overly honest, obedient nature? Yes, I also understand what kind of a person Maria Chan is. Also, I know it's probably annoying to all of you, but I cannot stop staring at her tits. Also, I just really, really do like her face. Like, I find her face and her eyes very pretty. Overall, I like everything about her aesthetic. I think she is very beautiful. But that's exactly why I think it's possible. That girl's a dreamer who can't help but look up to and blindly accept the existence of witches. So if a person appeared in front of her and claimed to be the witch Beatrice, Maria Chan would happily swallow it up, I think. So you're saying that if someone disguised themselves by wearing that fancy dress from the portrait, tricking Maria wouldn't be that hard. Of course, with that reasoning, all of us women would become the primary suspects. Anyway, who did Maria Chan encounter? Leaning on the details of that question would be the best key to solving this riddle. But this key has been firmly locked away inside Maria Chan's heart. Everyone denied the existence of the witch without listening to her, barraging her too much with questions about who Beatrice actually was. She probably won't open up her heart to the adults now. In the dim hall in front of the portrait of Beatrice, Maria was sobbing. Ooh. Well, we'll go and call the video there. Hopefully you guys can hear over the super loud noise of my laptop dying. Well, until next time, guys. Hope everyone out there has a wonderful day. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm currently trying to bring OBS up. And my laptop is struggling to do that. Okay, later. Bye.